Hi there, Joshua Hanlon here at Bricks Cascade in Portland, Oregon, and today we're looking at the GBC Great Ball Contraption layout at Bricks Cascade here in 2022. So I've got one of the builders who's going to be taking us through all of the different GBC modules. So why don't you give an overview? How many people did you have involved this year?
We've got about 10 people involved, some local, some of our friends down from Canada got to make it this time, so we're very excited about that. Some new modules, some old reliable modules that you guys have seen a number of times before. But a lot of excitement because some of the new builders are having some very exciting, interesting things to learn on their first time out. Yeah. But there are a lot of beautiful stuff here. So, mechanical problems aside, sometimes things can just look good.
Well, let's start in then. Where do you want to start here? And then we'll make our way through.
So we'll go backwards here because we're starting off, I think this is Rick's giant Dalek conveyor belt thing. It's a lot of really good Dalek action there. And that style of conveyor belt is just rock solid and gets a lot of good height out of it. And he's got a rattle tower there so we don't spill too much. Then Josh has got a lot of the sort of like my own cross to bear, because I taught a class here a few years ago with this push arm mechanism. And it's like an 80% of a module, but the intent is that people can customize a bit, so he's got his own little tweaks on it, so it's not just the directions. Then he's got a common power standard, only driving one thing. He's got all three of those are on one motor. He's got another power standard, another lift job to make sure that these guys don't get so bad of a surge. And someone's got a stepper that probably needs a little pushing here because these are normally super reliable, but when you get them super full, they have problems. And I think this is Tony's actually. Tony's got a bunch of modules here and they're working pretty well. Classic, I think that's one of the kit modules from one of the other conventions. Another pusher, I think this is more Rick's stuff. Rick's got some great bucket action here, more of the Dalek themes here, so this is really fun. Lots of flopping around action. The nerd viewers among you, the particular category of nerd viewers among you, will like a little close-up on how those buckets flip. Took me a little bit of looking there.
A very cool little mechanic there.
Yeah, exactly. And doing it in bright yellow always makes it look cooler. And then we've got some more, I think this is all of some Neil stuff here, although this is a shout out to Matt Norman. This is one of his designs, although Neil did make it look pretty. We'll give him full credit there. This is really cool because when it jams, it just lifts itself up. So it's really hard. It's a rock solid thing, although the super shallow hopper gives us some excitement, some bouncing excitement. So that's always good.
I imagine that help with the jam is something that's always good so that if something messes up.
Anytime you can self-correct, that's much less running around. And then we have another, Neil, where's your remote control? Right here. So this is a simple conveyor belt, but it's not just simple, it's action-packed action. Whoa. I wonder if I could cause a jam if I make it ran the plate. That would be, let's do that when we're not on camera. Then here we have, this used to be something else and that wasn't happy. So we have one of our emergency backup modules. It's a simple lifting wheel, but it's got pretty yellow. Like we were saying earlier, yellow makes things look nicer. That's just a simple wheel and that's going along well. It had some problems early in the show. And then we tried some fixes and I realized I tried that fix 3 years ago and it doesn't work. Tried another fix, that was the 2 year ago fix, but this is brand new. So Neil claims it broke since the last time we set it up, but I don't believe him because I don't want to. There we go. So if it's fixed now, it's like it never happened. Then we have another gorgeous bit of elevation, and he's actually making shots. So make sure we edit that right so none of the shots miss. But yeah, this is...
They land on the net very nicely.
Yeah, the net does catch and take all the energy away. Oh, I hadn't really looked as close as how he attached the net. That's smart. I'm gonna be inspired by that. We don't steal, we get inspiration. Then another great little lifting tower here. That's kind of pretty. I like the little dots. Very fashionable. A lifting bucket there. Is that you or is that, because I saw someone else who had actually,
somebody else's.
Yeah, but like they put Benny on it, and I like your orange colors, OSHA approved. And we have some nice pitching forks here. Is that an Akiyuki or is that?
Based on an Akiyuki finger lift.
But since it's still not meaning to disrespect Akiyuki, but when other people's build Akiyukis, we like it when they scale them down a little bit. That's a safe way to phrase it. And then here we have just one of those simple long lifting wheels. And this is beautiful, although it's not running right now. Oh, it's just the down ramp. We should totally hook up a Brick World pump and get it going. Anyway, so this is gorgeous, and the mechanism for here is just super fancy. But if you aren't at the convention, you don't get to see it. So there.
That is an incredible looking build, though. I love the micro scale force perspective.
So this is Jeff Strong, and this is I think this is his first year. So next year we're expecting like 8 more just this pretty, but even more reliable. And I'm sure he has nothing else to do but work on that until this time next year.
Easy.
Then here we have the carrot patch, and I don't know if you guys caught this on video at BrickCon last year, but it was also beautiful then, but a little more exciting in terms of let's just go with exciting. Whereas this year, it's much less exciting. It is, in fact, a reliable module that we put in front of some other temperamental guys, and it still looks cool. Action-packed carrot action.
That is a lot of carrots.
It's not too many, though.
It's the right amount.
Exactly. Some picks would go overboard in the carrots. Here we've got another Tony thing. Just like that, he had a prototype. And the prototype is the wrong word. He had a first version at BrickCon. It was a little more thrashy because he ran it faster, but now he's got more squid. Always good. I'm not sure it's the right amount of squid. Maybe 2 or 3 more squid would be good. Beautiful direction, and it's basically functioning. And we're starved somewhere else upstream, but we're working on that.
I love how he's even got them named and everything, color-coded.
Exactly, that way, because otherwise, if someone were jammed, you're like, oh no, who's jammed here? I don't know what to find. But now you can just say, Inky's got a ball trapped in his arms. So that's always good. And then Neil's got a nice little scissor lift here. Well, this is a Tony conveyor belt, but we're so jaded that a simple conveyor lift, we're not even going to talk about it. We got some conveyor lifts in the backfield that we're not even going to talk about. And then here, this is our switcher board here, so that normally we're running the whole loop and we just have a little chute here, but when there are challenges some places, I can just redirect the Sidewinder here to feed into Alex's giant glittering wheel, which we've seen a number of times. Almost goes without saying that we don't have to worry about this bad boy.
But it looks so amazing because it's all the trans-clear pieces.
All the trans-clear, and that brick bending force is just so cool. It's like all the raids. Someone's got a whole YouTube channel about brick bending these days. And then we got the Sidewinder, which went for a major rebuild after throwing some excitement at BrickCon. And it's going just jinx myself here. It's going pretty solidly. And because it's got this big hopper, it can just switch over to drive off the ramp, which I should not have tried to show off on camera. But yeah, so we just tilt those over, and that's how it goes. Then we've got a simple lifting wheel. This was part of the Great Ball Pit. They had a contest one year for a 16 by 16 module, and that's a really convenient size. It's harder to break it down, but then they package really well. Then I've got this is a really great module, my little yellow and black thing here, because it's a simple stepper, but it looks like it's complicated, so it's a great crowd pleaser, very cost effective. There's another simple stepper, but once again, for the nerd points among you, look how low that first step goes. That's why I have these stupid things out to the side, so I can get my cams down underneath. Pulling directly from above is much harder with Lego parts, but this is working out well. Then here's my little ball game. This red lifter my wife made several years ago, and she wasn't fully happy with it, but I wouldn't let her assemble it because it's rock solid. You couldn't kill this with an axe, but please don't try.
I love the name here.
Well, as a theme, I like to think Great Ball Contraption is more about size, but a lot of people think we're being a little full of ourselves. No other theme calls us awesome Bionicle as a section. So if this is an adequate ball contraption, I think I've done my job. Then we have Alex's little derrick lifter here, just got the counterweighted arm slicing up and down. It's also been running very solid this week. This is Pump You Up, which I was out here before you guys were. This has been very good this week, and this is the slowest guy in the loop, which means he's often very full, and when he's not full, I'm always blaming the guys upstream for me, because I'm obviously rock solid. There's the see me rolling. I stole this idea from Thomas Mueller. He stole it from someone else. I forgot the full vintage, but I love it, particularly for this part, because you can really weird the crowd out when you stop the paddle. And then this one, I think this is an Elastian wave machine. I also like those. It was so nice I had to download and do it, but I added the fish, so that totally makes it mine. And this last stretch here is all common power standard. We have the one motor here running a bunch of them, which is important because power functions are no longer in supply. This is just a simple lifting wheel, and if we had more table space or a proper loop, we might have added the train here. We do have train parts here, but we're kind of thin on the ground. Bricks Cascade is having the tragedy of its own success. 500 builders, they keep using our table space. So maybe like later tonight, we're gonna just run Technic off the building. No one ever cares about Technic or microscale. We'll make it a whole island, it'll be fine. But yeah, and then so we're coming over into John Sherman stuff, and he's off playing games. I don't even know the names of all his stuff, but it all just runs well and looks beautiful. This is new, and you can just, you can stare at this for hours. I haven't heard him complaining about it, so that must mean it's great. Picking up there. I've heard a lot of compliments for John's module, this blue one here, and this number of steppers being running all day is quite impressive.
It looks great with the blue and gray.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of very hypnotizing.
I really love John Sherman's both attention to the detail and the aesthetics of it, and he's willing just to throw down and buy 500 of these parts to make it look good, whereas once I'm done with the technical parts, I'm like, someone else should make it look nice, and no one ever does. Another one, I don't think this is his design, but most of the time when you take someone else's inspiration, you still got to make it work, and there's a lot of time and effort into that. This is, I believe, John's newest one for the show here. He had to restructure several of these things because there's so many flexing parts. He showed me earlier, oh, that's a very pretty little extra blue ball coming through. Oh, and there's an extra bit of timing here where if this jams up, it will automatically correct itself through some cleverness that I've forgotten right now. Because we did a walkthrough yesterday about what things are going to go wrong. And when someone tells you this will self-correct, you just stop listening because all the things you need to have to worry about that will break, if it's going to fix itself, I'll let it. Then we come around here. That's another one of the lifting arms with the cool snake edge so we can get its sizes right. This is adjust the color balance on your set because it's the exact same thing a second time, but in different colors. Very exciting. This is a fantastic one. I think this is a pandemic module one way or another, but I could just watch this all day. I mean, it's just so graceful, and the colors are nice, and the little spiral down so he doesn't give you too much energy on the way out. It's all very good. And up here we have, because we have a tower, so as grown men, we wouldn't have to crawl on the floor to get out if we had an island, which, until the revolution comes, we won't have one here this year. And I have no idea how we even got here. Oh, these are self-circulating right now. The other thing John was showing off in our walkthrough is that a number of his modules have if he's got the snake coming around, it doesn't have to feed into itself, but it can. I have a list that we've discussed on some of the ball contraption scripts of things a module should do. Being able to self-circulate is totally one of those. And so he does that just because he's showing off.
His colors are fantastic in a lot of these modules.
No, absolutely. He's totally willing to put the time in and say, no, I'm going to do a brick link order. I'm going to wait 3 months to finish this until I can get 272 neon green or lime green pieces. And I don't have that kind of patience. And so we have another circulating module here. This is one of those picker mechanisms. They've been coming around the past couple of years, and it just seems to be working very well. Although, honestly, for a self-circulating module, you never really know because it's no one else's problem when they stall. But it's looking very well. And like we said, all of John's modules look so good. Now we're coming along on the back of his module. It's a simple conveyor. Although one of the fun things with the amount of torque you need for a conveyor this size, at BrickCon, he rammed a worm gear so hard it melted into the pieces. And so he's got a little bit extra couple of bushings in there and so on. So he hasn't complained about those problems yet. So either he's being stoic or he's solved it. Then we have the down drops are some of the most beautiful things. The bang for the buck you can get in terms of crowd pleasing by just having something slow down in an elegant way. And now by calling it out, we've made it jam up. But yeah, it's fantastic. And this was an actual challenge build that John got. In one of the Brick World door prize things, he got a huge pile of these buckets. And he was like, no, now you've got to come back and build a ball contraption with that. And I've had people tell me that, and I'm like, yeah, thank you. I don't do it. But John did it. He actually managed to find a way to attach these buckets and turn it into a working ball contraption, which is just fantastic. Then he's got, all his cute little bricks. Oh, I'm going to pitch my own little pseudo channel there. If you come to a convention that I'm at, so pretty much all these Pacific Northwest ones, and you do a ball contraption, even if it mostly sucks, I'll give you a white brick. If you're stupid enough to come back and do this again, then you graduate to the green brick.
Oh, very nice. It's a tier system. Very good idea.
Exactly. And after you've done 2, we know you're hooked, so I don't have to help you at all. And then we're back to the loop on John's. It's back to that 3-wheeler lifting up to, this is the cool ramp. We would manipulate this to feed it into our side if we wanted to combine the loops. But as we saw with some of the starvation along the way, perhaps letting John play in his own little sandbox is a great idea. We skipped some other things on the back row, like on our side, but there's a couple of simple conveyor lifts. Neil's got a couple of the cute push arms that are sort of based on my design, only he made it look a lot nicer. And so that's about it. We have, I think, about 10 builders. Someone smarter than me could have been counting as we were going along. I'm going to guess less than 80, more than 50 modules. Alex and I have a total of 14 on our table, and that's about 1/4 of the run. And someone else can do the math there. So yeah, it's been a good time. We're having a lot of fun here. And I've definitely had conventions that were much more hectic. So although we've had some challenges, I think we're still having a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's a great layout that you guys have all put together here. It's always so much fun to see both the modules that have been around a while, but then also new ones as well every year and see what new creative ideas people have.
Yeah, the only real pandemic building I got to do is I did one pump that we don't have in circulation because it had trouble early on, but it's a Zamfir sphere pump. So when I actually do finally put it back out, like maybe tomorrow, there'll be a cool video for that, or we'll see it eventually on your channel, I expect. But I did do a lot of rebuilding. So we finally had BrickCon in person last fall and shaking the dust off, like, no, a lot of these things need fixing. So I got a lot of time to actually go through the list of upgrades and maintenance that you should have been doing every year, you don't always get to. But after a couple of years off, I was finally motivated to go back and do a lot of rebuilds, and that's paying off right now. Because when I'm babysitting my section of the flying, I actually get to sit in the table and just sort of listen and chill out, maybe say nice things to the crowd. That's always kind of fun. Whereas when we go down to the larger section that we started with, there's a lot of excitement there, and that's part of the fun. If you're not actually doing things, it's not really GBC. But it does get exhausting over time, and particularly when you're wearing the mask, that makes the sweating even worse. But it's been a great time, and I'm really pleased to be here.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the whole tour here. Great modules from everyone represented, so can't wait to see what you guys continue to do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.